To roughly determine where the pinned bail is going to be attached, roughly draw out an oversized circle at the top of the impression. This does not have to be precise. You'll refine it later. You just want to make sure that wherever you decide to drill a hole on your bail, you want to make sure that you leave enough material on the back plate above where that hole will be drilled to have a secure connection. Saw out the impression, including around the marked area on the background. To determine where to drill the holes, place the bail onto the large area on the background and make a mark on both sides of the bail. You want them to be directly across from each other, and you want to make sure that there's space to allow the bail to move smoothly. You don't want to place it too close to the tip of the bail because you need to leave some of the metal structure in place. Use an awl or a scribe to make a divot at each mark. Make sure you make this divot on both sides of the bail. I'm not pressing hard, I'm just creating a small point for the drill bit to register in. Next, drill a hole through one side of the bail at that divot. You want to go slowly, hold everything securely, and just drill through that one side. Next, flip the bail over and repeat to drill at the mark on the opposite side of the bail. You want to go slowly and let the bit do the work. You don't press down very hard, just slightly let it cut a little bit, then pull the bit out of the hole you're drilling to clear some of the swarf or the filings, and carefully drill through until you have drilled a hole in both sides of the bail. Next, you want to make sure that the holes are aligned parallel. So using that same drill bit, carefully insert it into both holes on both sides of the bail to make sure that they're perfectly aligned horizontally. Next, you want to test the fit of the wire that you'll be using for the pinned connection. I didn't show it, but you need to draw a bead on one end or ball up the end of one end of a piece of wire. Next, place the bail back onto the pendant and use a scribe or the tip of a fine needle file to mark through the hole in the bail onto that background. You can see there's a little mark. I'm going to make a divot there, and that is where we will drill our hole for the pinned connection in the impression die for the pendant. Next, you want to check the fit, and this is a little too tight for the wire I'm using. So you can use these tapered cone burrs, you could use Krause burrs, anything to slightly enlarge the holes in the impression die or pendant as well as in the bail. You want the wire that you'll be using for the pin to move freely in all of the components, but you don't want to drill the holes or make the holes too large so that the bald end pulls through the holes. So work slowly and test it against the wire that you'll be using for the pinned connection. You can see here, I've opened those holes up a little bit, and now the bail swings freely, and so does the pendant. Twist a larger drill bit in your fingers to remove the burrs from outside of the drilled holes. Next, put the assembly together, placing the pendant in between the two ends of the bail, and then insert the wire to make sure that everything is moving smoothly, nothing gets caught, and that it looks the way you want it to. Hold the pin tightly so that the bail is aligned vertically on the pendant, and use a scribe or a tiny needle file to mark along the edges of the bail. This will show you how much of the back plate you'll need to remove from the pendant. This just gives it a cleaner look. You can see here is the trimmed pendant, most of which will be hidden under the bail once the pendant is assembled. Next, you want to slide the bail onto the pendant and insert the wire for the pinned connection. Make sure that everything on the pendant and bail is finished as desired, all your sanding, anything you'd like, before drawing a bead on the other end of the wire. Trim the end of the wire to about 3 millimeters long. It can be more, probably not less. You may want to do a few tests to see what length works best for you. Use a very small hot flame using a Smith little torch to draw a bead on the opposite end of the wire to create the pinned connection. And you can see here the pendant dangles easily from the bail. Everything moves smoothly. And I've applied a patina and removed it from the high spots to highlight some of the detail. This is one way to attach a bail to a pendant using a pinned connection.